Good morning. Welcome back to United TV. Manchester United signed two midfield players. We're going to be talking about who's likely to be the third signing for Manchester United. And Fabrizio has been quite good recently. Fabrizio posting information last night on his channel is saying Manchester United seriously considering CAMAVINGA as a move. I think we saw KONE last night for France. France struggled against Spain, but there is a source that I just saw about 10 minutes ago. I don't know if I believe it, but Rio Ferdinand has been posting. I don't know if Rio Ferdinand has just been posting on Twitter, on social media, or just on YouTube. But apparently, Rio Ferdinand is putting out a story that Man United have made a £45 million bid for KONE. So if that happens, if that's true, then Rio Ferdinand is the first source I've seen saying that. But it's so soon, just before we started streaming, so I haven't really had a chance to look into that. But that's Rio Ferdinand maybe going a bit early and maybe a bit speculative with his theory that Man United are going to make an offer, but maybe that's going to be the first indication that that might be Man United's target. The CAMAVINGA story as well has been an emerging one that Manchester United had internal talks. CAMAVINGA's name came up. He's a player they're interested in. Is there a chance for this one? It feels slightly, a little bit like Too Many, that CAMAVINGA doesn't really want to leave Real Madrid. But unlike Too Many is clearly just on a new contract extension. CAMAVINGA, there's a bit more of an issue with like injuries with CAMAVINGA. But there's potentially with this one a more like feasible deal, a higher probability that Man United could get a deal like CAMAVINGA done. And when I saw this, I've not seen CAMAVINGA discussed for quite a while, really, by the major journalists. And the first time I saw CAMAVINGA's name come up a while ago, the price was going to be, I think it was quoted to be about £50 million. So if we see any more about CAMAVINGA, maybe we might see some sort of price attributed to this deal, how much it's going to cost. But it would feel a bit like if you're going to look at the Glazers signings or any of signings, if you're going to look at how much Man United are paying for players, then CAMAVINGA 50 million, KONE 43 million, those sort of deals do look like more likely. I know there's always going to be a story about Belieber, Alex Scott. They would be significantly more. So when I'm looking at the information out there and go, right, if KONE is going to be about 45 million and CAMAVINGA might be 50, these feel like achievable deals in terms of the budget, still money to address other aspects of the team. So that's where we're starting with this one. If you're watching live, please click the like, please subscribe if you're new, but also please let me know what you think regarding these deals, or what do you think regarding the story. Like, do you think Man United are, is the media pretty much pushing Manchester United KONE next deal? It looked a bit like that, not just because he was replacing Too Many international level, but also he is available. Roma looking to sell. Salary's not going to be big. We know that Arsenal were looking at him a while back. He was offered to Arsenal for 43 million. Has his price gone up because of the World Cup? I'm not sure. I mean, it's always possible regarding that one. Could just be a distraction as well. Like, this is Manchester United. You never know. The next signing could just as possibly be a signing that we've not even discussed on the channel, a little bit like the Tielemans one. So I think at the moment, if there's going to be a player we know about, Belieber, Alex Scott, CAMAVINGA, if this is true, and KONE, and I would say like maybe KONE, Alex Scott, or Belieber would be the most obvious ones to guess. Maybe Sanderberg could be another one, but I think when Man United said they want a profile that's going to be a runner, someone that's going to cover distance, I started thinking that does sound a little bit like Belieber in terms of a physical presence in there. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm going to go through some comments. If you've got some thoughts on this one as well. So, yeah, Rio Ferdinand, I mean, if you followed Rio Ferdinand's channel and you saw some of the things he was saying a few years ago regarding the takeover, I would probably say Rio Ferdinand is similar to just completely guessing, I think, is what I've said at the moment. I don't know. Rio Ferdinand, sometimes I think he talks with authority on things that have limited chance of actually happening. So, yeah, great player. In terms of like in the know, I think he's very much in the kind of business of guessing, but we'll have to see. BLT Steph and BLT G Wolf. I'm all good, G Wolf. I'm all good. Looking forward a lot to the match tonight. That's going to be, I think it's going to be, yeah, a crazy match. Stressful. If you're an England fan or an Argentina fan, I'm expecting stress. That's what I'm looking. I'm looking forward to it in a weird way. Um, I'll be up to you, Andy. I'll be up to you, Mike. Mike says, wouldn't mind Camavinga at the moment. Then, yeah, price wise, price wise could work out. Is there a very tiny chance that Man United maybe go for four midfield signings? That's a possibility that people are looking at as well. But yeah, you never know. I think a lot of people will probably be looking at it and saying, is there going to be are people worried about the injury record? I think that's one thing. I think he's missed over the last 3 years about 50 games. Like Camavinga has missed about 50 games. So again, I think the one thing I would say about this is if you're worried about injuries, then Manchester United with Edison, like the medical will throw that up. If anything, I think the biggest issue with this deal is like, does Camavinga want to leave? And it could be what happens with Real Madrid's business. So if I was going to guess, then I would say the most likely deals from the players we've been talking about, I would probably guess Belieber because he wants to come, or Kone because the price seems about right and it looks like he's going to be leaving Roma. And depending on the Kone price might go up a little bit. If you watched France Spain last night, what do you think? Because it's probably not the best game to watch Kone. I would say Spain were very good. They did control a lot of that game. As soon as they went 1-0 down, actually, I think Spain might have surprised people. Like defensively, you got Mbappe, Elise, Dembele, and we go most of the match. No one's getting a shot. So I think Spain controlled it in a maybe a way people didn't expect. I thought it would be a bit of a more like stressful day for the Spanish players, but it looked like they coped with the speed of France very well. So I don't know. Whatever happens, from what I saw last night, Spain are just a better football team than France at the moment. France have maybe got the more exciting individuals, but maybe Spain are the best coach team in this competition. I was very impressed with them. So no, it's going to come down to whoever wins out of Argentina, England is an underdog. I don't really care how that game goes. I think you're going to be an underdog. Spain, I don't think Spain have lost for 2 years. So big. So I was just saying, don't be too harsh on Kone against Spain. No one was looking good against Spain. Dembele, Ballon d'Or, was doing nothing. Mbappe, one of the most dangerous players, not getting the kick as well. I can't remember Elise doing too much either. So maybe Barcelo actually looked quite good at the start, but that's about it. So yeah, no, welcome random idiots. Your name makes me laugh actually. I'm sure you're not an idiot. United so Dice says we can beat Argentina. I think we can. But it's going to be a tough one, isn't it? It's going to be a difficult one. I hope there's no controversial VAR decisions because, yeah. So one thing that the game last night showed that for all the ability Spain have got, it did come down to a very bizarre foul, didn't it, that gave them the penalty. So you just have to be careful. Like England can beat themselves in this match just by doing these sort of things. And at the highest level, one stupid mistake could cost you your match. We can't give Spain a start, put it that way. Yeah, Andy says, yeah, regarding Rio Ferdinand said this morning we put a bid in for Kone. So if you see other accounts saying the same sort of thing, then yeah, we can get involved, can't we? If we see a bid going for Kone, I think what I'm looking for in this deal is I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United go for Kone. Like, I'm not saying Kone would be my top target, but I wouldn't be surprised because age, experience, uh, player profile, cost, and I don't think fans would be necessarily ecstatic, but I think it depends on what happens in the rest of the window. But it would feel a bit like a squad signing, doesn't it? It feels a bit like Man United are building a larger squad, and this sort of signing would make sense. So if that happens, then I'd imagine it could be rapid, couldn't it? He's just been knocked out of the World Cup. So it could happen quite quickly. We saw the situation with Tielemans that if it's going to happen, it could be the next couple of days. So we could be talking about something before um, too long. So I don't think we're going to have to wait a crazy amount of time. If it was Camavinga, I don't think we're going to hear much about it at all. And it could be that Man United look at Kone, agree terms, the contract's not going to be too expensive. I'm guessing Camavinga slightly different. I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows what Camavinga's salary is, but it's going to be up there, isn't it? Like Real Madrid players do not go on low salaries. And Funchi says, why do I feel like it's going to be Belieber, Stiller, or Sangare? And say you doubt it's going to be Kone Camavinga, but so anyone right now because they all improve us. Exactly. Like Manchester United at the moment, this midfield, I think people are maybe a bit surprised by Tielemans and Santos, but I think either way it does improve our team. And I think that a few teams in the World Cup have shown that it's not necessarily the individual players. If the players fit, the profiles are good, the team's coached well, that's going to be the main thing. And we saw a team of. You could probably argue that Spain against France. You could probably argue that if you were going to pick three players to go into a World 11, you'd probably start with the French team, wouldn't you, with the attacking players? But overall, I think that the Spanish team just played a lot more effective. So now maybe we could be surprised with this one. Angela Stiller, I'm not sure about Angela Stiller, about how quick he is over the pitch, if they're looking for more of an athlete. I think Belieber, Sangare is an interesting one, actually. If Man United move for Sangare, it would probably be, I think it would be one of the most popular moves they could do based on what I've been seeing in YouTube recently. So I think Sangare would be up there as being one of the most popular deals they could do. And if they do that, then yeah, that would be also a surprise because there's been no media coverage about Sangare really. There's been not many stories. I think I did one video maybe about a month ago on Sangare, and we did talk about him as a potential. He was on a very big short list, put it that way. So Sangare is on a list, but it's a very big list. So we'll have to see regarding this one as well. Cody says, "Do you think we're using his name for options as well?" Funshu says, "Yeah, this is something that's definitely something a factor recently. I love the way we're not giving anything out to the media. We left everyone guessing around. You're loving it. Now, most of them, I think with this, that if you're looking at media sources, a lot of people are guessing, and for fans, it's a little bit like it used to be quite a few years ago, where we don't know much about the signings, then suddenly we have a here we go, and we see players suddenly it's a Man United player already. So maybe with this one, I think Man United are not giving anything away. Players' agents are definitely creating a bit of noise. I think that all the Matheus Fernandes news pretty much came from the agent saying he's going to go to the highest bidder. So I think United not saying too much at all, which is good. So that's why I'm saying if you see a lot of sources like a Rio Ferdinand, for example, saying KONE bid in, you just have to be you have to be cautious and say is it actually happening regarding this one. Jim says we have all squad depth midfielders now. We need that first team one for the third. I guess with this one, like, who do you actually want then, Jim? Who do you want as a third signing? Like, if you're looking at like say, someone like Sangare, if you're looking at Camavinga, Kone, do these players count as a third signing? Like, would Buwadi count as a big third signing? Some people would say a bit young. I'd say Elise injury problems when he was young, risky, but actually managed the injuries now. I would argue he's better than Kone. Yeah, Elise is a top quality player, like a top quality player. But when he was playing a few years ago, I think he went under the radar a little bit. Kenny says, why not go for Sangare? Stats impressive. Do you think is Sangare going to be about? Is he going to be like 50, 60 million, that sort of price? Like it's going to be a bit more expensive, I think, than what we thought. So Belieber, 2 years left in his contract. If we can come up with a 60 million plus five in add-ons, Brighton will take it. He's not going to sign a new contract either, and he wants us 100%. Yeah, that's a good point, I suppose. That's probably a similar situation to Alex Scott. It seems that Alex Scott has contract offers on the table. Will Alex Scott sign a new contract? I don't know if he's. I think he doesn't want to, but Bournemouth might be, looking to try and get him to do that. Maybe they're going to give him a pay rise. I think with the Belieber situation, yeah, Belieber wants out of Brighton. He wants to join Man United. I did see a story. I don't know if I believed it, but I saw a story that Belieber would be willing to try and buy his way out of his contract a bit, try and pay some money towards it. I don't know if that's true or not, or whether that's just one of those made up transfer stories we have at this time of the year. But 2 years left on his contract. If he can come up with like a 60 plus five, then I think Brighton have to be realistic as well, don't they, at this point? That Brighton will have players lined up. And if Belieber pushes down to that sort of price, that we thought Belieber might cost closer to 80, if he's only got 2 years left on his contract, and that's true, then it gets to the stage where you want to do a deal at this sort of time, don't you? So no, I would say with Belieber and Brighton, then gradually, maybe gradually, Belieber, the power is going to be a bit more with the buying club and Belieber himself, because Brighton will want to make sure they get a profit. If it goes down to another year, if this is true, and I didn't know exactly how long he left on his contract, they don't want him to go into the final year, do they? As well. Stephanie says, "You think we're going to go for Sangare? What would people? Like, I know we talked about Sangare quite a bit because he does seem to be like if you look at did Sangare get voted the best? He won something recently. I don't know if it's like the best African player in the French league or whether. I think most people would say if you're looking at centre midfielders, Sangare, Bawadi, they're probably the best ones outside of PSG, and that's why we talk about them. They're very, very highly rated. Do you think there's a chance that Man United do go for him? Because you'd have thought that the profile he's got, maybe. KONE next, please, says JSN. Yeah, the stream started 9. Yeah, the stream started a while ago, which is a better. It will be a shorter stream this morning. I keep saying that, but it will be a bit shorter. Morning to you, Randy. Good to see you, my friend. Cody's saying, I don't think they're dumb enough to do a deal for Camavinga. Plus, Madrid will ensure that never happens by demanding a premium. So, no, I would say at the moment, I think if I had to guess between those players, and we got, like, say, we got Belieber, we got Camavinga, we got KONE, we got Sangare, I would probably say I don't think Camavinga is going to be the most likely one. And for the reasons, I think if you're going to buy a player from Real Madrid, you go for too many. Camavinga, it is the injury issues that I know we talk about this on other players as well, but we're talking about, like a more serious amount of games missed, aren't we? We're not talking about one or two, we're talking about 50 in 3 years. So I think that suddenly becomes like a big factor. And I think maybe United should be looking at trying to go for this. So let me jump into the comments. Yeah, if you got like players you think Man United should sign, but do you think this is going to be the next deal? As in, do you think that we're going to be seeing Manchester United get the third midfielder first, then move for like the next target? Because I know we talked about Lewis Hall. I know we keep talking about potential backup for a striker, left wing option. I do get the feeling that Man United are going to be doing this kind of sort of in order. They are going to go for the midfield signings first. That's why I think that the next signing, I think Camavinga feels like the sort of deal you do. I don't know, like in August when Camavinga's been like forced out of the club pretty much. So I think if you're going to do a deal in the next few days, so I did say I think there might be something happening quite quickly. I would be thinking KONE, Sangare. Like Sangare feels like the sort of deal that you would suddenly see David Ornstein say Man United advancing talks for Sangare, and then bang, here we go. I think with the KONE one, we'll probably get a little bit more in terms of it'll be a little bit more similar to Edison. That Italian media is pretty good at getting these stories out quite early, so they were quite good with the Edison story. So I wouldn't be surprised if Man United make an offer for if it's confirmed, if Rio Ferdinand's sources are accurate, and a big if Man United do make a bid for KONE, I think we'll hear about it relatively soon. I think the sources in Italy will be pretty good and on that. So media in Italy is genuinely quite accurate. So I think we'd find out about that one quickly. But I think Sangare might be one of those ones where it's suddenly like bang and it does happen. Jim, you think Scott, but you think United really want Belieber. He keeps coming in no matter who else we're linked to. Yeah, it feels a bit like Belieber's been relentlessly linked for a long time, hasn't he? As well. Welcome to the chat. Omar says, I think Scott or Kone. I don't see. So, how? I didn't see. We didn't sign Edison, so they're not that stupid. Says Omar. No, I think the Edison one was yeah, just it was just a. I think I would say this. I think Manchester United generally wanted to sign Edison. And I don't think it was an excuse. I think it did. There was something that came up in the medical that stopped that happening. So otherwise, I think we got him in the end. Like Tielemans or Edison, I'm a bit happier with Tielemans, and it's I know it'll be different reasons, etc. But Edison's never played in the Premier League, so there's always that in the back of my mind. Like, how is he going to cope? Like Tielemans, we know what we know what he's capable in the Premier League. So I think it just felt like a more sensible deal. If you're going to buy someone that's that sort of age, I'd rather they played in the Premier League. And actually, I thought Tielemans was doing like quite well with Belgium in the World Cup. I mean, last couple of matches, I thought Belgium were actually doing quite well against Spain. If you look at the game last night, France versus Spain, I think Belgium were giving a better account of themselves versus Spain, and it came down to a goalkeeping error. I think the game was like kind of 50-50 Belgium Spain, whereas last night I thought France were getting outplayed. After the second goal went in, I thought Spain were. It looked like it was going to be a third goal, so it looked like Spain were pretty dominant. Where I thought that Belgium caused a lot of problems for. And you look at Belgium, Lukaku and some of the players they got, they had no pace in comparison to the French team. And so maybe with this one, you don't necessarily beat Spain with pace because they neutralised Dembele, Mbappe to a large extent as well, and Elise, and they didn't really cause too many problems. Even like Barcola had a bit of joy, but maybe that's an interesting point that if England get to the final, maybe you need to look at how did Belgium cause so many problems because they did cause a lot of problems for Spain, and it could be about intelligent passing rather than like pace. So yeah, no, we'll have to see that one. It could be an interesting match. Now, good that you got back in there with Isabella. We're good. We're good, Omar. We're good. I'm going to be on a holiday in about I don't know about 9-10 days time. So I'm going to be doing a lot of YouTube until that. Hopefully, hopefully we get some deals done. When I'm on holiday, I might just like kind of I might move to shorts a little bit and just do a few updates just to keep involved with the community. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm looking forward to the World Cup kind of getting to a conclusion because I thought it was a bit too big. Like there was just too many games. I think that for a lot of people, it was a great World Cup. I think there's been too many games for me. When it comes to the business stage, though, I think Spain just found a different level. England versus Argentina, it's probably going to be the hardest game for both those teams. So we'll have to see what happens in this one. At least they're not turning up in big games. We'll have to see. I think at the moment, Harry Kane and Bellingham, they're going to turn up in those big games as well. If anyone's got any questions, and usually I do like a poll and we say what's the most likely, and we've been doing this. I think this is going to be one where no one knows what the most likely option is, do we? Like we can guess, but I would say maybe this conversation for this stream is who do you want as a third? Like we got Tielemans. I've said that I would take Buwadi. I think he's a good signing. Sangari could be, Sangari could be someone that comes in and incredible athleticism and the amount of times he wins the ball back as well. I think he could be like a potential signing for Man United. I think he ticks most of the boxes. Age profile is correct. You'd say in terms of like ability, very good. Athleticism, like spot on. And I think the Belieber deal, if Belieber doesn't happen, then I think it's down to Brighton just wanting too much money. And I think Man United, if this is kind of a big if, isn't it? If Manchester United, oh, yeah, I'll say that's one game though. I say if Manchester United don't sign Belieber, it might be one of the first signings where we go for a player where we do actually genuinely walk away from that deal. There's no one really at the Belieber table, and Brighton they put high prices on their players. At some point, Brighton are starting to miss out. I mean, after they got the money for Caicedo and Cucurella, I think they just started putting higher and higher prices on their players. And you'd have to look at other clubs and say, if Man United spend 50 to 60 million pounds on Sangare, and Brighton had Belieber going into the last year of his contract. Belieber could walk for free a year later. So I would say for Man United, why not get Belieber? Why not get Sangari now? If you want Belieber, why not get him on a free? Just let him stay at Brighton and let Brighton make zero profit on that player. That would be maybe that's going to force the prices down. So that would be quite good to see. Yeah, Spain are a problem, real problem. I almost said I would take Scott or Kone. We messed up this summer, so now we have to rescue it somehow. So I think in terms of this one, Do you think Man United have messed up the window, or because they did say that Santos was a long-term target, which made me think, okay, if Santos is a long-term target, that's absolutely fine. I don't think we could. I don't think anyone thought that Tielemans was a long-term target as well. That I think that was something that kind of fell into place because Manchester United, like we looked at getting the Edison deal. I think we thought the Edison deal was a done deal, and it didn't happen. And I think Tielemans was. It seems like a bit opportunistic, but maybe it seems a bit like Tielemans has had a big factor in this one. So I would be very surprised if Manchester United knew Tielemans had a release clause and it wasn't that. I think it's the other way around. I think Tielemans contacted Man United because he wanted to leave Aston Villa. So that's one where I think it was a bit of a surprise. I think the Santos deal was something that Man United apparently planned, but I do get the feeling that did Man United really think that Anderson would be possible? I don't know with that one. I'm not sure if that was the case. Let's see. Yeah, there's not much point in talking about. I mean, I don't think you can say Mbappe's not a big game player when he scored a hat trick in the World Cup final and he's already won the World Cup. So, um, any sort of questions or thoughts regarding Manchester United's next signing? Is it definitely going to be a midfielder, or are we going to see something crazy? If it's Sangare, are we going to suddenly just find out completely out of the blue and it's going to be here we go? Cody says Newcastle have had their big deals hijacked this window. It's more of the same from last summer. We're seeing a different situation at Newcastle where Man United, we signed, trying to think who it was, we signed Santos, and at the time, Newcastle offered him a better contract than Man United were offering. So it's like they do seem to be trying to still throw a bit of money at it. The problem Newcastle have got, do you remember a year ago when we were talking about Isak forcing his way out? I said, right, Isak's gone, that's one player. I said, what if Bruno Guimaraes or Tonali go next? Like, as soon as that happens, it's going to be a bit of a yeah, it is a bit of an exodus from Newcastle, and we're seeing Gordon, Tonali, and Bruno G going. Lewis Hall maybe next, and I think for Newcastle you can buy good players in for sure, but there's no way Newcastle are going to be a better football team next season. I just cannot see that. I don't think players that want to win or play at the highest level are now considering Newcastle. So I think it could be years of mid-table for Newcastle. I don't see elite players looking at Newcastle as a good option unless you think it's a stepping stone, which may be a reason to go to Newcastle. But I just can't see too much happening regarding that one. So yeah, no, I think yeah, most of the players that people thought we should go for, Bruno Guimaraes isn't done yet. Arsenal trying to pay less. I think Newcastle fans were surprised that Bruno Guimaraes wanted to leave. Like a lot of people talk about Bruno Guimaraes as the heartbeat of the squad of the team. He wanted to leave, and I think Newcastle fans that's probably a bit embarrassing, isn't it? I suppose it's like if Manchester United, can you imagine like 1997 or something, or not? Roy Keane forcing his way out of Man United. I think it's something like that. Say Buardi probably City. Yeah, no, I think if we look at Anderson and Buardi going to City, that's probably why Man United fans are not satisfied. Anderson and Buardi are better football players than Tielemans and Santos at the moment. So, no, I think that's a fair point to say that Man City's window at the moment does look better than Man United's. That's not to say Man United's not improving, and I think it's two different things, isn't it? I think we're improving. The problem is we're not improving as quickly as Man City are improving, which is a different story. Like at some point, if we want to win the Premier League, we have to get better football players in than City, but that's a different issue. Um, so you've heard Newcastle interested in Mason Mount. If Newcastle are interested in Mason Mount, and I'm sure that Newcastle would be interested in Tielemans, that for me would be a very interesting situation because that would also be a deviation of Newcastle from their current their plan. Newcastle don't really pay for players that are that age. They don't really take on salaries of that amount. Surely it'd be a loan, wouldn't it? Can you? I can't see Man United getting a big transfer fee for Mason Mount. It costs a lot of money. He's getting paid a lot of money. I don't know. It would be interesting to see what happens with that one as well. If you're looking for a marquee signing, Mark, then I don't know if there's anyone available that would be counting. Like who counts as a marquee signing now? Does Boadi count as a marquee signing? He's 18 years old. I'm starting to think now that I think Man United might be going for a lot of midfield signings. So they're going to go for at least three. I don't think anyone's going to be a so-called marquee signing. Like I don't think there's going to be that sort of signing in midfield. Does Lewis Hall count as a marquee signing? I mean, he's still pretty young. He would be expensive for a left back. I don't think when Chelsea signed Cucurella, they said marquee signing, although he was very good last night. I think with this one that I don't think we're going to get a marquee signing. I think we're going to get a lot, maybe a bigger number of signings than normal, and maybe those signings are going to be all maybe 40 to 50 million pound price. So they're kind of the kind of amount that you look at in terms of like now what does an average football player cost now in the Premier League? Maybe it's going to be like the 50 million pound price point for Manchester United this season, and that's why you look at say Santos was 50. Um, Maybe we're going to try and get Belieber for that sort of price if it's possible. And you're looking at Alex Scott was originally thought to be about 50, but obviously that's not the case anymore. And maybe they thought they could get Matheus Fernandes for 50-ish, where we thought it would be a bit more. That's why I think Manu Kone could be that. Sangari could be that. And I think if you look at who's going to be the next midfield signing, if you think the player's going to cost more than 55, 60 million pounds, I don't think it's going to happen. So that's why I think Alex Scott, for me, I don't think it's going to happen because I think he'll be too expensive for Manchester United. Not that I don't think that it should go that way. I think that the signing we're going to sign next is probably going to cost similar amount to Santos, maybe slightly more. So Kone, Baliba, I don't think Gomez is going to be there, but how much would Sangari cost? Maybe Angela Stiller could be like we haven't talked about Angela Stiller for a while. Maybe Daz says Camavinga doing what Too Many did for a new contract. Do you know what it feels like, Daz? It feels a bit like the same story, doesn't it? It feels a bit like 2 months ago we said the same about Too Many, wants a new contract. I don't think Camavinga wants to leave Real Madrid, which is obviously a big red flag for anybody that's looking at who's likely to sign. Baliba's been waving a Man United flag for a year. I would say for Manu Kone plays for Roma. Arsenal, Manchester United, if one of these clubs is interested in Kone, 100% he's like leaving Roma, 100%. It's probably going to double his salary. I'm not sure what Roma will pay, but there's no way it's going to be remotely close to a top Premier League salary. So Kone would jump ship immediately, and Belieber would definitely as well. I think Alex Scott wants to, but Bournemouth are making it difficult. And Sangare, 100% he's going to be on board. If Man United or any other top Premier League team wants Sangare, he would be on board. I think at the moment, Sangare could be the one signing that most people would look at and go, get him in. And I think he might be the most popular signing on the list that we're talking about. And Randy says all the data points to Belieber. Yeah, it does sound like that, doesn't it? I think maybe Belieber or Sangare is going to be the decision. Like Belieber, if he had the same form as he did 2 years ago, I think he's definitely up there. Sangari's been very good this season. The only issue is it is the Premier League. I know. Do you remember a year ago we were talking about Jonathan David? He'd scored like 20 plus goals for 4 consecutive seasons. Looked like a great option. Available on the free, but wanted a decent salary. He's been a bit, he's not been great at Juve this year. Looked okay in the World Cup, but again, you have to look at the level of opposition they're playing. So I think Belieber would have been the player they'd like to have gone for, but I think at the moment, I think they're going to be going for someone like Sangari. And Randy says United using Kone. It could be that, if Manchester United do make an offer or they're in conversations with Kone, the price is going to be say what 45 million pounds, something like that. Then and also United have made 2 signings, and if I was Brighton, like put yourself into Brighton's perspective, you've got Belieber, he wants to leave, you want to get the best possible price, he wants to join Man United, which effectively does rule out other clubs. Like Belieber's not going to be deciding to join Liverpool or Arsenal, he wants to join Man United. What do you do if you're Brighton? Do you hold out and go, we want to get £80 million? Like Man United aren't going to give you £80 million. If you hold out for 60, can you get 60 from Manchester United this window? Like, we haven't spent a lot of money on players for a while. Maybe you could get that possibly, but if you're Brighton, otherwise you could get zero. Like you could be looking at not getting anything from that. So, uh, yeah, this one is very, very unclear, isn't it? Like no one knows what's happening with Rashford. Apparently, he's going to be integrated into pre-season, but I think Man United want to sell him. I think Rashford wants to leave. So I don't know. There's not really much we can say about Rashford until it gets resolved. Abdaz says, in my opinion, we need a six next. I think that's what most people are thinking, isn't it? It's going to be someone that's maybe better off the ball than that. So who would you prefer to get? If the opposite, if the chance is going to be Kone or Baliba, Sangare, is there a clear favourite among Man United fans who you would rather get out of these signings? And Brandy says we must not. Yeah, you can't trust Real Madrid. Like you can't trust Real Madrid. You can trust Real Madrid about as much as you can trust Jim Radcliffe. Like you can't trust this team. Real Madrid will do what's best for Real Madrid. And yeah, 50 plus games missed in 3 years' time. Sorry, in three previous seasons. CAMAVINGA is one word. I'm actually starting to think now. I think Manchester United should be very sceptical of doing business with Bayern Munich. When you think about the players we signed from Bayern Munich, they've all been pretty much a flop at Man United overall. I think okay, you could say Mazraoui was a cheap player, and I'm not saying Mazraoui is a flop, but you look at De Ligt, the injuries. Mazraoui missed a decent amount of games for injuries. Owen Hargreaves, Nick Schweinsteiger, none of these players have come in and been able to play massive run of games, elevate Man United's team to a high level. And Bayern Munich, if anything, Bayern Munich always seem to like actually be replacing them with better players. So I would not do business with Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. Like the best way of doing it is like these big teams, they don't let their good players go. Bayern Munich have said this as well. They will not let a football player leave their club unless they can replace him with a better quality player. So you have to trust them on that. That's what they're doing. Isabella says United now looking at a six defensive midfielder that's coming out. Kone, who only works as a six alongside a defensive anchor. Sangari's an eight. Kamavinga as an eight to Buadi or as an eight is Buadi or Baliba. Then yeah, do you think Manchester United are looking for a six? They say that, but anything that comes out in the media, I think of Manchester United is a little bit sketchy that they're not going to be too transparent with this one. Yeah, add Van Nistelrooy to that list. Like Van Nistelrooy went there, and I'm sure that he was still firing in goals. And Dan says, I believe Belieber would go up levels here. So I think if you're looking at these players, I think there's going to be a lot of potential, a lot of potential. So Alex Ferguson, thing is though with Alex Ferguson, at the time, Alex Ferguson was forcing David Beckham out of the club, and David Beckham was going to be going to Barcelona. But to make it happen a bit easier, David Beckham said, "Look, I want to go to Real Madrid. If I'm going to be kicked out of Man United, I'm going to Real Madrid." And so, yeah, at the time, I'll say I didn't want Beckham to leave. I thought Beckham was like a fantastic football player for Man United, and uh, Beckham was like such a quality player, but also a hard-working player that cared passionately about Man United. So I'd have kept him, but yeah, we got lucky with Ronaldo. But I would have kept Beckham. But no, we sold him. We sold him one of our best players in Cristiano Ronaldo. So yeah, we can't say too much as well. We haven't done great from Real Madrid. Don't forget, we got Di Maria from Real Madrid, big money, but it didn't work out particularly well. So the random idiot says a club said they were working on a secret DM, but Camavinga and Kone are more box to box. Even Sangare. Now, this is what I'm thinking. Is there anyone out there that I know we've listed all the obvious signings and we've been talking about them for a while. Is there anybody out there Manchester United have not discussed or we've not discussed as a channel? Is there anyone out there where you think should we go for them? Big Dog says if Bruno goes to Arsenal, why don't we put a cheeky bid in for Zubimendi? I I'm not sure we. I don't think Arsenal would. I don't think Arsenal would sell us a player either. I don't think Arsenal would sell us a virus either to go down that route. So I don't think it's going to be. I don't think there's going to be much chance of us getting players from other high-ranking Premier League clubs. I'd say keep the faith with Delic. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on Delic. I think Delic tried to. I think Delic tried to make the World Cup, but maybe that wasn't the best thing for him. So this again, when you're talking about a player like Delic, it's nothing personal. I thought Delic was one of Man United's best defenders when he was fit. But it seems to be that same story, doesn't it? I used to say this about Lewis Saha. I really like Lewis Saha, but every time he got an injury, it was like out for months. So it's a frustrating thing, but you just need to have. There's only so many players we can carry with that aren't available for like games week in week out. Yeah, Torres to Chelsea was yeah exactly. You can't trust bigger clubs, can you? Selling players, Isak, Verts. Kesman, yeah, I forgot about Mateus Kesman, Murata. Veron was one we bought. I think when you're buying big players from big clubs, then if it seems like too good a deal to be true, then probably it is. If it feels like a good deal, like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, AC Milan, not one of these clubs is going to do a deal to Man United to give us a good deal if they can. That's why I think some of the players we're looking at, like say Sangari, Buwadi, Angela Stiller, these are good players at clubs that don't really want to sell them, but they are going to cash in on them. And say Stiller can be deployed as a six and would work well with all three of our midfielders. So Wharton's a perfect six as well. He would work great alongside Tielemans, but maybe struggle alongside a Mainu. Yeah, possibly with that one. Do you think that also, based on what we saw, I think most people watching, you watched the World Cup match last night, you saw a I'll say this, I think an exciting French team with loads of pace. And I would say with Spain, you look at a midfield that's not renowned for pace. Like you don't look at Spain in the same way and think Spain are going to blitz you with aggressive running. But are we looking at a situation where it was about quality on the ball and about intelligence and about a very well organized, well constructed, good game plan for Spain, and they neutralised all the pace threats that I don't think we saw. There was a couple of glimpses, but we're talking about Elise, Mbappe, Dembele, who've been like causing massive problems for a lot of teams. And Spain didn't have to do it with like a low block. Spain were controlling possession, and Spain actually looked capable of cutting France apart. So when I was watching the game last night, and you see Spain take control, does that show you that maybe in terms of like having pace, I think you've got to have some pace in your team. But Man United don't need people that are based or signed purely on like how fast are these players. Like you also have to look at if you're going to control possession, someone like Mainu, don't give the ball away. It's good to have ball winners in the team, and I think you do need to have someone with legs, but maybe it's about how well the team fits together, how well you control the game as well. So in terms of this, if you give Carrick enough players, maybe you could be looking at an effective transfer window. And I know that people want to get the most exciting players in. Jim says Zubimendi is horrible at Arsenal. I'd stay well away. Yeah, no, I think he's been effectively replaced, isn't he? So I would say with no, I wasn't a massive fan of Marino, but I think he's done very well in the World Cup for Spain, isn't he? Funchi says you don't have to buy expensive players, just buy what works. And say players that can work. Imagine if we had six Lamans that price in our team. Do you remember when Man United got people like Peter Schmeichel and Eric Cantona for not much money? And I know at the time transfer fees are lower, but they were still pretty cheap for that time. And you could probably be looking at it and say at the Evra, Vidic, Lemons. There are deals you can do quite good deals, and maybe in like a year's time we'll be looking at Dorgu as like a real bargain. I think he looks like he could potentially be already. Aiden Heaven as a bargain. maybe Santos will be considered a really good deal. Imagine like 2 years' time, if Santos develops into a quality midfielder, maybe he could be a first team player. I think with Tillemans, you get what you pay for with Tillemans. You get a good squad player who's going to play a lot of first team football as well. But I think some of these players you're looking at, if you buy what works as a team, that's probably going to be perfectly good as well. And Funchy's saying Stiller is a six, not an eight, but they play him there because he's intelligent, forward passing. I think when I saw clips of Stiller, because I haven't seen loads of games, I think a lot of things you see from Stiller is good range of passing as well. I think that's something you do also see as well. Stephanie's saying guile as well as pace is essential. Look at Rodri. Like no one's going to say Rodri's going to be ridiculously quick. I mean, he's come back from serious injury and he was just controlling things yesterday, wasn't he? And I think the two midfielders they had in yesterday just controlling things. And I think with this one, guile as well as pace, and it's intelligence on the ball, isn't it? That Manchester United genuinely were thinking we're going to be playing on the front foot a lot of the time. Like we're going to have other teams in a low block a lot of the time. How pacey do our players all need to be? I think in the wings, when you're looking at people in midfield, if you've got we do need pacey wingers, and we do need to maybe look at that as something to invest in as well. I think what we're looking at the moment is if you look how the England national team functions, where you've got Harry Kane, you've got a lot of pace down the left and right, you've got someone in midfield that like a Bellingham that can drive forward. I think that might be a benchmark of looking at how you win football games. If you're looking at the Athletic did a really good article about 2 days ago on where's the chances coming in the World Cup, how are teams breaking other teams down, and a lot of it is like very quick runners left and right in the half spaces between the full backs and the centre backs. That's kind of the attacking space that people are getting joy. And I was just thinking, you got Cunha, Ahmad and Buemo, maybe like another signing, maybe a Dorgu, and you've got to have people like Bruno that can put those passes through, but also maybe Man United are looking at a midfielder that can drive through the centre as well, can like finish some chances off. Maybe Tillemans is going to do that a bit as well. We did discuss yesterday that his speed, top speed, is not that different from other players we've been talking about. So yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it, Randy. That if you're looking at saying two midfielders, a six, and someone like that's going to be a runner, someone that's going to be, I think relentless is the word I look at. When you're looking at what sort of midfielder do you want, I want someone that is relentless, that's going to be continually winning the ball back every time we can see possession, that's going to be mopping up if things go wrong. When there's a breakdown in transition, I want someone that's going to be in there winning the ball back as well. Do you know, I was thinking actually watching last night, I don't like Cucurella. He's annoying, and but Cucurella's doing exactly what you want from certain players in your team. He does the things that he's an annoyance to people. He's kind of nipping in there, getting the ball back. He's uh, getting rid of danger as well. I think Cucurella's little touch when Mbappe was about to shoot was like it was very good defending. He had a very good game last night. And I think that's what Man United need in midfield. You need someone that's going to be a bit ahead of the game, gets your foot in, breaks things up, stops the opposition. Just a bit of a disruptor, I think, is what you want, but high energy. So if they can do the defensive work of Garte was supposed to do, but also be good on the ball, I think that would be, for me, what I'd like to see. If anyone's got any final questions, we'll probably keep this a bit shorter today as well. What about Mbola as a backup striker option? How much does he cost? Because I have seen a few people link Harry Kane to Man United and say, what about Harry Kane? No, not Harry Kane, sorry, Ollie Watkins, and say he might be available. I think a backup striker, I would go for someone like Watkins if he's available. Mbola, possibly. I don't know as much about Mbola. But I think either way, Man United do need to get a backup striker. Like it has to be. No, David Ornstein's going to be the main person. I think Fabrizio gets a lot of information from agents. So Fabrizio will have maybe like an idea of what's going on, but nowhere near as accurate as some of the others. I just saw this comment. Do you start try and say Cucurella or because I'm not a big fan of Cucurella. Uh, so Camavinga isn't what we need. Let's keep away. Prefer Scott or Belieber. At this point, actually, I would quite like to see. I would quite like to see like Belieber in a Man United shirt. I think he might do a good job, and I'm hoping that the lack of form we saw last season, whatever the reason was, I'm just hoping that Belieber is a cheaper price. That would be for me would be an interesting one. If we get a cheap price on Belieber, I would be interested in that deal. But if we got Sangare, I think it would be yeah. If Sangari's a Man United player and we have a here we go for that, I'll do a stream as soon as possible. I think that's going to be the one stream where lots of people will be relieved or happy or just surprised that Man United do that sort of deal. So that would be the one that, based on what I've seen on YouTube in the last couple of years, I think that would be the most popular signing United could do at the moment. I think it's and also would be a good signing. Yeah, I don't know if that is true, Mark. I think people started thinking there's some sort of exodus to Aston Villa for whatever reason, but we'll have to see. If that's true, then yeah, I think it is. It is along the lines of no brainer, isn't it? Ollie Watkins versus Sesko. Sesko's injured. Ollie Watkins, no drop off. I think you both got two strikers there that should get 15 goals next season. And if you had those two in your team, keep each other fresh as well, like alternate games, have one on the bench as well that can come on. I think also considering where they are in their careers, Ollie Watkins with the experience, but also still putting in high level performances, lots for Benjamin Sesko to learn from there. So yeah, perfect signing. I would say if it was like £30 million, I'd still say that's a good deal. But again, I don't know. I don't know if that is a real price for him. Yeah, no, lots of people said that. Lots of people wanted that as well, for the same reasons. Yeah, it would be for me. It would be a very good deal. Big Up to Niche says we have to go in for Boadi. Can't get him. Or there, yeah, can't let. I don't want to see him go to City because it feels like they're doing too good of deals, like too good of deals. So Stiller, Wharton, Belieber, Bawadi has to be the four from we picked from. Yeah, no, I get the feeling that we're going to find out relatively soon. I'd imagine. I say Sangari, but we're now box to box heavy, which Sangari isn't. I don't see it happening as much as I love him. I think they're going to go for a six as well, but we'll have to see. Um, Man United have been surprising people as well. I don't think we're going to get Belieber for 40 million though. So I think it would be a bit more than that. That yeah, if he's only got 2 years left in his contract, it might be that sort of time where you can be looking at it as well. Say 20 million for Watkins, but what is his salary? That's the question. As a bit part player, I don't think he would be a bit part player though. I think look how many games Ollie Watkins plays. Ollie Watkins has just turned 30, isn't he? Harry Kane's 2 years older. If you're going to give Watkins like a 3 year deal, I think Ollie Watkins is going to be an effective player for a couple of seasons. And honestly, Ollie Watkins could play 40 games. Like whether if you're looking at how many games does Sesko get injured? Like last season, he did miss quite a few games from injury, but also how many games are you going to want to take Sesko off after 70 minutes, or how many games are you going to want to start Watkins and bring Sesko off the bench? Well, you've got to have two strikers, and I don't think you can have a drop off. I don't think it is expensive for a player that could get you 15 goals next season. I think £20 million is like quite cheap. Like we've got a Champions League campaign to try and do. I'm no idea actually, no idea, Daz, no idea. Possibly, I'll be in an airport in about I don't know 9 days time. I don't know what I'll be doing. I won't be. I'll have my family with me, so I might be able to do some shorts when I get on holiday. But we'll see. So be up to you, Matty. If anyone's got like a final question, I'm going to try and make these streams gradually a bit shorter. And so if you got a final question, Matty, if you got a question you want to drop before we head off, I will be live at 1 p.m. today for another hour stream as well. But I'm going to try and gradually make them a bit shorter, so get down to about 45 minutes. Okay, maybe this one then. If it's 2 plus 1, depends on like if the one requires like the player to want to stay. No, maybe with this one, then unfortunately it's going to be a bit difficult for that to happen. Unfortunately, but any questions, Matty? Can you just join in? How many players do you think will sign? Okay, I think Man United are going to sign another midfielder. I think we're going to get a left back. I think we're going to be looking at another attacking player. So I would say that's how many's that? That's at least, and we signed a goalkeeper, haven't we? So already we got a goalkeeper and two midfielders in. I think we're going to sign at least another three players. I hope we're going to sign four more players because I think we need like a centre back option as well, or maybe another attacking option. So I think at least three more players, three to four. I don't know if they're going to get more expensive. It's possible, but we'll have to see regarding that one. Thank you everybody for watching today. I'm going to try and do 9 a.m. streams and 1 p.m. streams, depending on news as well, depending on popularity of the streams as well. So thank you for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you're new, please consider subscribing, etc. And if you're able to share the stream with other Man United fans, that would be appreciated. We might be doing a few more calling shows, which might be something I'm thinking. If there's interest, regular interest, we might be able to do them, possibly like a daily hour then after the World Cup finishes, and maybe like give people an opportunity to come on. But we'll see. It might, at the moment, I'm just testing a few things. The World Cup's been a bit disruptive to YouTube, I think, and a lot of people are getting a bit fatigued with football. But I'll try and do 9 a.m., 1 p.m. and see how they go, and an evening stream when the World Cup's off. But if you want to get involved in the channel, please let me know on any social, and we will see you guys in the next one.